Welcome to the Delaware Mini Med School Early Fall 2025. I think everybody is coming in slowly but surely. And I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go. So again, for those of you who have been here, you have heard this before. But for those of you who might be new, you can follow us at the Academy, which is delawareminimed.org, or you can follow us at the Sussex Health Coalition at sussexcoalition.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and LinkedIn. For those of you, again, if you're having trouble with the Zoom link, please join us for live streaming on YouTube. I put that link into the chat at www.youtube.com/delamed302. Any of the housekeeping tools or tips, this is a Zoom webinar, so you will not be able to see any of your classmates and they won't be able to see you. We can't see you. Please use the Q&A feature to ask all of your questions. We do not answer to the raised hands, even though we know Valerie has a challenge with her computer and we do see the raised hands. Do not ask questions of a personal or family nature. This is a violation of the privacy rights, which we must take very seriously. And any questions will be addressed, some by staff. Others can be selected for direct answer by our presenter at the end of his presentation. You do not need to, or you do need to stay through the entire presentation, but you may leave during the Q&A part. We recommend, though, that you do stay because this is where a lot of great information is shared back and forth and you get to learn a whole lot more. My name is Christy Hanley. I am with the Sussex County Health Coalition, and we partner with the Delaware Mini Med School to put this presentation on. We are an organization that ensures that we are engaging our communities in collaborative, family-focused efforts to make sure that their voices are heard throughout the communities and that their needs are met. Tonight's speaker, we have Maksymow, who is the VP and Chief Information Officer at BB Healthcare. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to let Mike take over.
Hey, thank you, Christy, and good evening, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here. Make sure I get the right screen for everybody. Okay. Just want to make sure everyone can see my screen. I'll give a little welcome. Thank you, everybody. And I appreciate being asked to present tonight. The topic I'm going to discuss is something that means a lot to me, especially my career here in BB and for our community here. So welcome to Delaware's Mini Med School. This is Beyond the Stethoscope. I'm going to talk about technology careers in healthcare. As Christy mentioned, I'm the Vice President and Chief Information Officer, and I've been here at BB now for almost 13 years. And really what got me into this discussion and interest is when I first got here to Lewis. I've been here, I moved from New Jersey. I worked in healthcare nearly 30 years, and I've been here about almost 13 now. Now, when I got here to Lewis, I recognized quickly how everyone knows everybody down here, or they're related to somebody down here. So as I'd walk down the street on 2nd Street in Lewis and I'm having lunch, I'm talking to people, they'd see I'm wearing a suit jacket and ask, you know, who am I and what do I do? And I said, well, I introduced myself and I said, I work at BB Healthcare. And the first question was always, are you a doctor? And I'd say no. And they said, oh, you're a nurse. And I said, no, I'm not a nurse. Well, what do you do? And I would tell them I work for IT. I'm an administrator. I work for IT technology. And but this happened over and over again. So it dawned on me that, you know, people, when they drive by the hospital, think that we're all doctors and nurses. And it is as important of a role they play in our community's health and the healing of our community. Our doctors and nurses have such a support team behind them. of individuals that work in other clinical areas, other office areas, and office technology. We provide them tools for them to provide the best quality and safest care for our patients. So we work as a team, and that's healthcare. We all work together to ensure our patients in our community, we restore their health as quick as possible and take care of them with the best possible care. And technology enables us and allows us to provide safer care, faster decision making, safer decision making, multiple systems talking to each other, and that information is routed correctly and timely to the right people to care for our patients, to help them leave the hospital and get back to their families. And the other thing is, healthcare is such a rewarding industry to work for, especially a hospital like Beebe, where we're a part of our community. Our patients are our family members, our neighbors, and our friends, and even our coworkers. So we're here and providing care, for our families, friends, and neighbors in our community. So when people think of when I get talking to them a little bit about healthcare, they realize that, oh, all right, computers. You guys have a lot of computers. So traditionally, people think of IT as the use of computer systems, the software and applications that we use, and our digital tools, and how we manage, store, analyze, and exchange this information to provide the best patient care, create efficient operations, and enable all parts of the organization data-driven decision making. And typically, the roles that come along with this, and this is pretty much my team. This is everybody here reports to me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each role, because again, people thought, wow, hospital, you're all doctors and nurses. Yet there is an army of people that support the tools that our care providers and our clinicians use to treat our patients. So our help desk or service desk, in some places, technical assistance center, it's the same role. It's the first line of support for an organization. It's when a user is having an issue with their equipment, the software, they can't log in, their phone, etc. They'll call the help desk, and the help desk will help them. It'll troubleshoot and help them over the phone. And in best cases, which happens most of the time, they'll help that person resolve immediately upon their on the call. So first call resolution. For the more complex issues or that requires more of a hands-on investigation, we have our PC and network technicians, which will run to the departments, will run to the office, everywhere in the county that we have an office, and even deploy equipment, help troubleshoot equipment, repair equipment, replace keyboards, etc. But we'll typically have those people out in the field and provide that assistance. Our telecommunications analysts and or engineers, these are the folks that work on our mobile devices, our phones, our tablets, etc., making sure they're connecting to the network, making sure that the software on them is working, and securing the business applications and the information on the phones. But they're also part of a team that is more in the traditional telephony of the telephones, a phone switch. When people call into the hospital through the 302 number, their call comes into a phone switch. It's a large computer with multiple circuit cards to route the call correctly to the right extensions, and also calls going outbound, outside the hospital, and faxes, etc. Our network and systems, we have analysts and engineers as well. In some organizations, these two roles are split. Some have network analyst or network engineer, which cares for our infrastructure, such as our switches, our routers, our firewalls, etc. They ensure connectivity, whether it's internal to the hospital, the wireless network, etc. They'll make changes when we work with a new business partner or vendor partner. We'll establish secure connectivity to them. And this team is integral in that work. Our systems analysts or systems engineers are really our server team and working to ensure that the health of our systems, they're maintained, they're supported, they're patched, and whether they're virtual machines or physical standalone servers or even now cloud, this team is involved in all of that work. The database administrators that we have, they do very similar work, but they're focused on the database and the health and maintenance of the database to ensure the integrity of our data and the security of our data, and the data is accessible when we need it and by who needs it. So our database administrators, also with a new application we may be implementing, they're the ones helping build that database structure as well. We have applications or systems analysts. These analysts work with all the software in the organization. Anytime we have a new service line or a new acquisition or a new, we need to automate something, usually requires software. So this team of analysts will manage certain solutions and multiple systems to ensure that they're understanding the maintenance and support required for those, working with our end users to make sure that the workflow and the system work together so that we are providing value back to the end user's workflow. They are ensuring those who need access to that system and the system's capabilities, and we're using that system to the fullest capabilities. Our integration programmer analysts, we have multiple systems in this organization, many of which must talk to each other to provide patient care. We just implemented a new system which eliminated many interfaces, but at one point we actually had a system where a patient would need to be scheduled and then registered when they came in for an appointment. So for example, if they were coming in for lab work or to get imaging, diagnostic imaging, they would come in and get registered in one system. That system would have to push that patient's information to these other systems and downstream systems so that when that patient then went to their lab draw or their imaging, the orders for those images and draws were in the lab system or imaging system. Then they would perform the correct tests on the patient, as then the physician would read and analyze the results and come up and document a care plan, etc. The results were then posted, and then all the way even through billing. So all these systems have to talk the same language over a standard healthcare language, so that that patient can flow through our system seamlessly. So these integration programmer analysts, even for an organization BB size, we have hundreds of systems that and pathways that need to talk to each other, and not just internal but external as well. We share information. We share information with the state. Whether it's vaccine information or whatever, or even sometimes other hospitals where a patient needs to continue their care, so that that organization has the right medical information for them to properly care for their patient, as well as somebody who may be sick here in Sussex County, who would normally see a different provider elsewhere. We'd be able to get information from that provider so we could properly care for that patient as well. So it's a very busy team with very complex communication channels, but very exciting, very rewarding. We have IT project managers. These resources. They actually work once a project is approved and it requires IT resources. These project managers then get involved, work with the customer to understand what we're trying to do with the software. Then they pull in the right IT resources that are required. In many cases, it's almost somebody from every team needs to be involved. I just talked about the integration programmer analyst. Sometimes these systems, like I said, need to talk to each other. So we need them involved. And because they need to talk on the network, we need to pull network engineers and network analysts in as well. I talked about the systems administrator who needs to set up the server for this team. A lot of times there's a software client component, whether it's on a phone, tablet, or a computer, that we need desktop. We might need hardware that has to support this. You know, again, there are multiple team members for any given project from IT to ensure that, again, our end users, our clinicians, have the right tools to properly care for our patients and provide them the best quality and the most safe care we're able to deliver. And then, of course, I can't forget IT security analysts in protecting our patient information, protecting our organization, protecting all of our information, and making sure that our services are not being disrupted. IT security is a very, very busy role, and unfortunately, healthcare is just in the crosshairs of many bad actors. And normally, I would ask, does anybody know who the top 2 or 3 industries are with the most cyber attacks? Well, healthcare is in the top 3. And another question I'll ask typically if I'm in front of students is, do you know why? And a lot of times it's, people don't really understand that, because you can understand finance. If somebody's trying to infiltrate a bank or a credit card company, there's financial purchases fraudulent purchases. However, with a lot of the fraud protection and technologies today, by the time somebody takes a credit card information and tries to use a card inappropriately, the credit card company, just by the behaviors of the purchases, that may send a flag or a couple flags that go up. They will then flag that transaction and say, this looks like a fraudulent purchase. Is this you? And a consumer can actually real time say, nope, that's not me. And that transaction does not occur. And the the person is not liable for that purchase. So it happens in almost real time. With healthcare, it's not the immediate gain of having the being able to financially gain. We have the most robust and rich data source and multiple records where somebody can assume somebody's identity for wrong purposes. It's some are trying to maybe fraud with banks, open up loans, etc. But sometimes identity theft can happen over a long period of time until somebody is caught. So we are kind of a lucrative target, if you will. So anyway, IT security is extremely important in every industry, but especially protecting our patients' information. And then the last 2 I have on the list, these are technical roles, but they can sit in many different departments depending on the organization. At BB, they happen to report to me, which is a fantastic thing. So our clinical informaticists are a role that really emerged when the electronic medical record came into existence. And these are typically clinical people, clinically trained. Many are nurses. Some are also physicians, and they're physician informaticists. And they're clinically trained, so they understand nursing and or physician workflow. And they also understand the technology and the applications they support. And then they're kind of the liaison between the techno nerds that IT can be and the clinical minded physician or nurse, and they're kind of the glue between us that translates the language to ensure we're working together and implementing a very good implementation, very good product, or we're using the systems to the fullest we can. So they understand the workflow, the providers, they understand the technology, and then together we're able to not only implement very good solutions, but continuously work together to make them even work better. And again, all that is to benefit our patients' care, again, providing the best care, safest care. And then biomed technicians and engineers. These are really very technical people who really work down even to the circuit board level of medical devices. Not typically the PCs, not typically a phone or a tablet, but more of the equipment that touches patients, whether it's a fetal monitor or an IV pump or a defibrillator. These individuals, they perform maintenance, preventative maintenance on a routine basis to ensure that these devices operate the way they're supposed to operate 100% of the time. And through their testing, they can early detect potential issue before a piece of equipment may fail when we need it, to use for patient care. So they will do their troubleshooting, their maintenance, their testing, and they touch thousands of pieces of equipment a year. It's a routine that occurs daily, and it has to if you're dealing with several thousand pieces of equipment. And then there are also the equipment that does fail, or somebody drops or breaks. They're bringing those back, repairing them, and again repairing them, running them through their tests, and then certifying them for use. So again, biomedical technicians in our organization report up through the IT division. So these are the typical roles in many of the healthcare organizations, and each one of them have different levels of technical skill sets and requirements. If you are really, really, really technical, well, either PC technician or maybe biomed technician might be something to consider. Somebody that likes moderate technology or the use of technology, but not really to the level of that techno nerd, it might be more applicable to be a application or systems analyst. Or if you like the troubleshooting and threat detection, things like that, IT security analyst might be more in line with what your interests are. But there's typically something here for everybody. As far as career paths into healthcare technology, these are just a couple examples. Service desk is typically your first level, entry level into an organization. Probably doesn't really much matter which industry it is. You start at the service desk or help desk, which is actually a fantastic place to start, because the breadth of what you learn and what the knowledge you amass is incredible. And that allows you to see the whole landscape of the technology in an organization, and actually might help shape where your next step is. It might be a systems analyst. I get so many calls about this. It's so intriguing, and I think I like that. And maybe then you apply and become a systems analyst. And then maybe systems analyst, you see a piece of the world, but I want to see more. Again, from my experience on the help desk, I saw a lot, but as a systems analyst, I'm more focused. But I like the systems, but I like the fact they talk to other systems. So maybe integration programmer is another step. And that's just an example. Doesn't have to be that way. Go from a service desk to integration programmer or something else. Or maybe you're not on the service desk, but you have technical skills and some aptitude for hardware. You start at the desktop level. And then from desktop, you really enjoy, the analyzing and troubleshooting equipment, that maybe biomed is something that you'd like to get into, that has a little bit more education and certification. But again, it's a doorway or pathway into something different. Or you can start somewhere like a desktop technician, or I'll give you a hint. Somebody on this call kind of started out this way, but I was going to put computer operator on there, but that might blow too many minds here. It's such a antiquated term these days that what's a computer operator? But and then from a computer operator, running backup tapes and green bar print reports, etc. One could become a desktop technician. One could then work themselves into, and saying, "Hey, the PCs are not my thing." Matter of fact, I can't stand a computer. But you know what? Today, they give me a hard time anyway. I don't like them today either. But the fact they talk to each other was very interesting, and that is where I found my interest in being a network engineer and working with the infrastructure. And then I had crossroads. Do I continue my certification pathway and become the best network engineer, or I had an opportunity to get into leadership and became a manager and then a director and now CIO. So yes, if you haven't already guessed it, that's Mike Maksymow there. Went from a computer operator to now running the IT division for a great healthcare organization. So, and again, these are just three pathways. There are multiple pathways of all the positions that I talked about on the previous slide. But I talked about healthcare IT, but there is so much more. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with the term STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. All right. So there are so many career opportunities here in Sussex County, and not everybody realizes what opportunities are down here. People think, well, yeah, we're mostly agriculture or hospitality. There's really no need for technology, and I would fight them all day long. There is so much technology on our farms down here in Sussex County, to the point they understand with water sensors what areas of the field they need to turn the sprinkler on, and when to shut it off so they don't overwater. And it could be on the same arm that's swinging through the field irrigating. There is so much technology in our in the chicken houses down here. It's incredible. So again, I get really excited to talk about STEM and STEM careers in Sussex County, but healthcare is such a big part of our county and of our state as well. When I talked to you and I first started and said, everybody thinks that we're doctors and nurses. Well, the first three absolutely are: the physicians, advanced care providers, and our nurses. They're very clinical focused, but absolutely, they go to school and they understand biology, they understand chemistry, they understand technology. So they learn this in medical school and come out and be able to care for our patients. But aside from them as well, and the previous IT, we have pharmacy, right? Pharmacy techs, pharmacists. These are people that need to understand math and chemistry, and even biology. So great viable careers, again, very much needed in healthcare. Our lab services, same thing. Our lab services, there are so from a pathologist who's a physician who interprets lab results and etc. We have medical laboratory scientists, medical laboratory technicians, histotechnologists, cytotechnologists, all phlebotomists. There are probably a dozen different career opportunities here that require some type of STEM or technology learning to them. Same thing with diagnostic imaging. diagnostic imaging. That's the X-ray, the CT, the MRIs, the ultrasound, all the technologists and radiologists who read and interpret the results. Our mammography techs, our nuclear medicine techs, interventional radiology technologists. I can go on and on with the different roles that have STEM background, people who are interested in technology in some way. It's fascinating to see these images, and we're caring for patients and we're helping heal them. People don't realize, even in facilities, in maintenance, we have our mechanical engineers, we have plumbers, we have electricians, folks that work on our air conditioning units, people that there are, so many jobs here in maintenance that, if you're mechanically inclined or enjoy, plumbing and electrician, you have to understand and learn, math and science, etc., in order to apply and qualify for these jobs. So they're, again, showing you more opportunities. How about food? How about dietary, nutrition, right? Again, same thing. People need to understand biology, need to understand science, math, measuring, temperature, safety, bacteria. So there are so many roles in a healthcare organization that people don't realize. So yes, we are physicians, we are nurses, but the majority of the people here support our physicians and our nurses and our patients and each other. And it takes a team to do that. Now, the fun part, how do I do some of this? I'm really interested, but how do I do it? Well, there are a couple different ways. Obviously, there's schooling. You're in school now. Some are planning to go to a 2-year college. Some are planning to go to a 4-year college. Some are planning maybe a trade school. Some just want to enter the job market. There's little something for everybody. But at the end of the day, how do you get, if you are qualified and you do have the requisite training or certifications to do something, how do you get in? So the funny thing is, and I used to say this a lot, is as hiring managers, typically with an entry-level job, a hiring manager still wants to see some kind of experience. So, I'm applying for an entry-level job, but I need a job to get entry-level job. So how do I get an entry-level job to get an entry-level job, right? So you see how this meme's going here. Yeah. So there are multiple ways. One, if you go to school, you can apply for an internship. So years ago when I got here, I worked with Deltec and even Cape, because they're a local school, and we created internship programs. And the one with Deltec was a 3-credit internship program for 16 weeks. So for one of their classes for the semester, we would put them to work. And it wasn't like giving them crayons and paper and say, hey, draw some fun stuff for us, or hey, go take out the trash. We put them to work. They were fixing computers. They were taking help desk calls. They were learning cybersecurity. They were working with our systems analysts. And when they got done, they had relevant work experience that augments their schooling, their formal education. So knowledge is really accumulation of everything that you learn or experience, right? So if you're going to high school and you're learning something about computers, and then you go to, let's say, Deltec, and you learn something about computers, then you transfer to UDEL, and then you learn more, and then you take what you've learned and then you apply what you learned to an organization like BB, and you're working. Now you've just accumulated not just formal education, but you've also now have formal work experience. But it shouldn't stop there. You can continue to self-learn and learn on your own. There are so many resources out there today that you can almost get certified, but just doing self-study. And so that is another piece of your experience and your knowledge. So anyway, I I would strongly suggest something like an internship or even volunteers. We've had multiple volunteers and interns that work here now that we hired back into jobs because they performed very well for us. They liked working here. We liked having them work here, and we saw what they're capable of. I would hire any one of those that performed and that want to be here than take somebody off the street who has some experience, but we don't know them. So all day long, we'll go ahead and take people that have worked here, worked hard, enjoy it, and got along with our teams. And then the other is capstone projects. If you're in school working on a project, how do you take what you've learned all year and apply it to a project? So these are some of the themes. And again, what you learn from these is just, it goes beyond just the technical learning. You learn teamwork. What I do is when we have interns coming from Dell Tech, if they're a cyber security, IT security track, we still put them on the help desk. They go on the help desk for 2 weeks. And then we have them work with the desktop team for 2 weeks. And then the analyst team for 2 weeks. And then they go into their field and work with the cyber team the rest of their term here. And that gives them, they see a couple things. One, how a team works together. Not one of us makes this place a success. It takes the entire team working together and all of our skill sets working in a coordinated effort to be successful. So we learned that it's not just about you, it's about us as a team. The other thing is by doing that, you determine, especially when you're, let's say you think you want to be a programmer because you have a parent that's a programmer. I think I know what programming is all about. Well, it's not just about that, sitting with a hoodie, sitting there coding and typing really fast and, having your Starbucks. There's more to it. There's sometimes you got to work with the end user. You got to understand the business case. You got to collaborate. You got to collaborate the project team. You got to coordinate with database. There are so many people that you're interacting with. So you may learn, wow, I didn't realize there was more to coding than just sitting there in front of a computer hacking away at the keyboard all day. Or you may say, wow, I really kind of like this aspect. I didn't realize it also entailed this. The other thing it does, again, it exposes you to other options. When I was talking about my entry into IT, if I stayed a PC technician and that's all I ever did, I probably wouldn't be a PC tech today. It just wasn't for me. However, there are guys and girls here today that love it and have been doing it for years and can't wait for the next next OS upgrade and taking advantage of different features and troubleshooting and waiting for new hardware to be upgraded and come out. But they eat that all day long. Me, not so much. But if I had to stay in that role, yeah, I'd probably be doing something else today. But the fact I saw and I was exposed to networking and saw how the computers talk to each other and we can transfer data, that excited me. And that's what caught my interest. And I went all in on that. And so you'll get exposed to other things that you may not have been aware of. Again, experience, getting that experience to say, oh, I have experience for this entry-level job. Maybe you got enough experience to qualify for a not entry level, but a higher grade, depending on the amount of experience. And then the thing I tell everybody, every intern that comes through here or volunteer that comes through here, I meet with them and I tell them, network. These are the peers that you are working with. You are referenceable. They will be a reference for you if you work here and you perform well. I'm happy to be a reference for anybody that works hard and demonstrates that they have the aptitude and the attitude to do this work. And more importantly, when you network and you expand your network, you have different subject matter experts that you work with. And if you get stumped on a project in a role that you're in, like, how do I do this? And you reach out to your network, somebody likely already have done that and come up with a solution. And you're try this, or this is what you need. And you do it, you're a hero. You nailed it. And then you learn from that. And then next time somebody needs help doing something, oh, I know what you need for that. Here's what you need. So it's that kind of relationship that you build. And these are your network team and your peer network, your professional network, uh, for as long as you maintain those relationships. I have relationships that now go back 30 years that I still see in different conferences, or every once in a while I'll see something on LinkedIn or online, and I'll ping them and let them know, hey, great job, I saw that, it's awesome. We still keep in touch. Uh, so, and then, hey, sometimes we share employees. So it's like somebody's leaving and looking, and I see, hey, they were there. How'd this person do for you? So it's a small network, but it could be as large as you want. So network. Your next role, once you get into this, is likely to come from somebody you know. And whether it's somebody that you went to school with or somebody you worked with and said, hey, I'm working over at BB now and they need a desktop technician. You would be awesome here. To be able to take your resume or your information or your application and give it right to the hiring manager, that's 100% chance you're being considered for the role. Otherwise, back in the day when we used to have the paper applications, I remember stacks of applications. You might be the best one in that whole pile, and it would be a no-brainer to hire. But if I don't get to it and I can't read it, it's an opportunity that's not going to happen. So by using your network, your peer group, you have a better opportunity of learning about an opportunity and potentially being referred or hired. So a lot of people like to ask me, what do I need, to get started? Well, just be able to problem solve and communicate. That's two of the most important things. Sometimes, in some cases, they can be as important as your technical skills. And then because we're always helping, we're always solving problems in IT. We're applying solutions to improve things. But being able to do all that, that's great. But you got to also be able to communicate to people and work with people. Now, different roles require different amounts of balance. I talked before where, there's some roles here that you really don't have to talk too much to people, but you need to be able to talk to your teammates and others on the team and your boss. But really focus on problem solving, and that's where we want your skill set. But there's also some people where communication in your role is as important, if not more, than to ensure that we get, whether it's a system build or something like that, database build, making sure we get that correct the first time. And that's a lot of communication with end users. So there's a little something for everybody here. But both of those are necessary. You can go get certifications. Many of these you can do on your own. Some of them are very inexpensive. Some might be free, at different levels. And even if you don't achieve certification, many of these have free resources that you can download and read and learn and do online. This also helps. So especially if you've had internship or volunteer opportunity, you can demonstrate, you can communicate and solve some problems, and you've demonstrated you have the aptitude and capability to learn technology and get certified, and you have your peer network working with you, and like I said, your experience. Who's stopping you? Who's stopping you from really moving ahead and getting a role? So I think this is now kind of what people get excited about, is either emerging or leading technologies that are out there. And a lot of these technologies are already deployed today and in various degrees, or we use them in some way. So I'm going to talk a little bit, not too deep, but I'll get into a little bit with cloud computing or cloud technologies. telemedicine or remote patient monitoring, using some technology to innovate and break traditional healthcare a bit, um, robotics and automation, and artificial intelligence. So with cloud computing, and BB is a great example. We have a very old building here, and our data center is in our one of our old buildings. It's on the third floor, and we've added to it over the years, and it's busting at the seams. So we start to virtualize about 12 years ago when I got here, began to virtualize a lot of the standalone servers and be able to consolidate, our floor space into the computing power of virtual systems. Well, over time, over 12 years, we've added so much more. Even the virtual environment is busting at the seams. Our storage requirements are busting at the seams. So we're looking at, do we open up another data center? And if we do another data center, then we can get into some fancy disaster recovery and backup scenarios. And so we can do all that, but it's a significant investment. And do we want to spend money on building a building to hold computers, or do you want to spend money on technology to improve patient care? So kind of the latter is where we want to be. So now that we're looking at cloud technology, it's really about on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, applications, and other IT resources through cloud services. And it's a pay-as-you-go model. So one, for us, if in the traditional model, if we had a project that came through, so we need to do this ASAP, has to go in like now. Okay, let's have a call, get system specs. Okay, we got system specs. We know what we need. Now we work with a third-party reseller, one of our VARs, and we say, okay, here's what we need. Get us quotes, and we do 2 or 3 quotes. Okay, here's the cheap one. What's your lead time? Okay, it's several weeks to a few months. Okay, let's get a purchase order in. The purchase order takes a while to go route through approvals, and then out to the vendor. The vendor orders everything, accumulates everything, starts to ship. That takes a few days. Then it lands on the loading dock, and then we have to run down and grab it. We have pallets of boxes that we have to break down, and then take the equipment up to the data center and rack and stack the equipment, power everything up. Oh God, one's dead on arrival. We need an emergency replacement for something. Meanwhile, we're building the rest of so that's the traditional way to do things. Or with cloud, we just need to dial something up. Here's what we need. Click, click, click. Let's spin it up. Let's configure it. We can spin something up within hours to days as opposed to weeks to months. So we can deploy very quickly now. And we can start maybe as a pilot. Let's just see how this goes before we expand it through the enterprise. So we might pick a department. Let's work here. So I can stand up a small environment. We can run it through its pace, try it with one of the departments. Oh my God, this is amazing. We have to roll this out. Now I can take that same environment, add more compute power, more storage, more whatever, and we can expand the the environment and roll this out enterprise. Cost savings for me, I'm only paying what we use. If we're buying 5 to 7 years worth of capital equipment to build in a data center, we may start off slow and maybe, all right, we're going to roll this out across the enterprise department by department. But I'm buying 100% of what I need today, and we're only using a small amount. And then by, let's say, the end of the year and a half or whatever, we finally roll everything out. Now I'm using everything to its full potential. Well, for the first year and a half, I was paying 100% of the system, where in this environment, I'm only paying for what we're using at a time, and we roll out what we need. And frankly, some of the systems, like our test environment or learning labs or whatever, I can shut them down and we're not consuming anything and I'm not being billed for it. But if I had to buy a test environment, we have to pay for the same servers that we'd be doing in our production environment. So there's cost savings here as well. We also have advanced security and cloud technology. Between the tools that come with our cloud technology and our own security program and hardening, we're able to really take advantage of a more secure, robust um, environment. And then loss prevention. When I talked before about backup and recovery in the different scenarios, we have our environment is over two regions. So I have one on the East Coast and one kind of central. And each one of those has a couple different data centers that we have different servers in. So if there was a catastrophic event, and let's say a weather event hit and wiped out a data center, I still have multiple data centers in a certain region that we are still up and running. So our resiliency is better with cloud. So there are the advantages of cloud technologies. Mentioned telemedicine and remote patient monitoring. This is able to keep an eye on patients that don't need to be in the hospital, for example, but they're under our care for medicine. They're recovering. We may have equipment that monitors their weight, their blood pressure, etc. Wearing smart sensors and smart watches, being able to track their health in real time, and having monitors so that we have a team of people that would watch monitors and alert a physician if somebody is showing some anomaly or some issue that we can intervene quickly. And actually, a few years ago, after COVID, BB Healthcare was the first hospital in Delaware, and there were only like 50 other hospitals that did what was called hospital at home, and that is providing acute care, inpatient care in a patient's home. Now, obviously, they were not the sickest patients; they were not in the ICU, but they were sick enough to be in a hospital bed. But using the right technology and the right workflow processes with the right visits by the right people, we're able to care for those patients in their own home rather than bring them in when we are already at capacity. We're able to manage and monitor their health remote. Plus, being in a hospital, sometimes people will get pick up something, whether COVID from another patient, a care provider, worker, etc. But if we can keep them in their own home and still provide the same exact care for them, it's a win-win-win. So this was something that we did for a period of time. So we're able to actually manage patient care in their own home, in the comfort of their home, with their family in their home, and improve access to care that they need without the hassle of having to be here at a hospital. So we mentioned robotics and automation. Very cool technology. We have surgical robots. I've seen demos. You can actually look through the goggles and manage the controls, and it is so precise, especially when the care plan is programmed. The physician has the best control and is able to work in the smallest, most minimally invasive surgical procedures, which helps better healing, less infection, and better patient outcomes and experience. And I think I said healing as well, the healing process. So we have robots that are surgical. We also have other robots in healthcare. BB was looking at one that would help, nurses are extremely busy. They have multiple patients that they have to manage daily, and patients can be a little difficult, especially if they're not feeling well. So for a nurse to have to run around and manage their patients, for them to have to leave the unit to go get a supply or a medication or uh, a piece of equipment is not ideal. It's not good, not ideal for the patient. It puts more work and pressure on the nurse to catch up when she got back. So having a robot be able to go get for the nurse to go to the iPad and plug in or tap her code or badge or code and program the robot. I need this pump, or please get the meds for this patient. The robot would go to the pharmacy or go to biomed or storage, pick up the equipment that's needed, and bring it directly to that nurse on the floor in the unit that they're in. Can you imagine that a nurse has a dirty pump that they need to take back downstairs and need to retrieve a clean one? Well, a robot would come up and open one door, put the one that needs to go to decontamination room, and open the back door and have the fresh pump there ready for patient use. Nurse never had to leave the department. And plus, it's fun when you see a robot wandering around the hall. They have, great look, fun look about them. So it's a win-win-win again for patient care. And they run 24/7. I mean, they need to charge, but typically an organization will get two robots while one's charging, the other's in use, and vice versa. So 24/7. And then can you imagine delivering drones for those who live in Sussex County? And it used to be just Fridays were a disaster, Fridays and Saturdays down here in the summer. Getting down Route 1, the traffic is horrendous. Well, can you imagine having to get medical supplies or medications to maybe a rural area? Patient doesn't have transportation and they need medication. And the ability to be able to deliver to their doorstep using a drone in minutes as opposed to hours traveling in the summer. Same thing with a technology, being able to bring a needed supply, replacement, surgical supply, and being able to get a drone and cut through all that traffic, point to point. And this is where healthcare is going with certain technologies. Artificial intelligence. I mean, this is such a cool area. Artificial intelligence is everything from, hey, your Copilot or Google Genesis or Grok, whatever. And that helps automate some things and helps shortcut some of the tasks and work things. But also AI is helping our doctors being able to diagnose diseases, some faster, some more accurate, or some that might be missed by a human eye. I talked a little bit about chatbots and some of the other AI that people are using for papers and whatnot. But the chatbot being able to directly interface with a patient who has questions, and the chatbot answers them. Or I want to schedule an appointment. Okay, when are you available? Mornings, afternoons, evenings? Where would you like to go? Chatbot can do all this, and so that our team members could absolutely facilitate, do the work that they need to do, that a human needs to do, as opposed to some of the more menial tasks. We're able to predict patient risks, looking at whether it's sepsis or a fall risk. By being able to take certain elements in the patient's chart, certain comments in the field, certain vital signs, we can get ahead of a potential issue before it happens. And then, of course, cybersecurity uses AI in advanced threat detection, being able to see patterns that a human can't. There's just the volume of information. Sometimes the volume of data is too much to be able to see patterns, but using AI to run through this and compute multiple computations and being able to see and detect and being able to respond automatically to threats to shut them down. These are some of the ways that AI is benefiting healthcare. So with that, I pretty much, that is it. Really, I'm going to kind of look through some of the questions now and see what I can answer. And I promise if I don't have an answer, I'm not going to make one up, but I will certainly get this back to Christy, or somehow we can get this posted back to you, or shoot us, come see us. Love to see you. At the end of the day, healthcare needs STEM workers. We have so many opportunities in healthcare, and it's not just BB, it's all over the country. Our physicians and our nurses are in such critical, high demand right now, and there is a shortage. And unfortunately, the pipeline for nurses and doctors is years. And then there are other opportunities that are, slightly different clinical positions that we're able to train up and get people in much quicker. But then there's the whole myriad of what I had talked about, all the different opportunities in healthcare. Each one of those opportunities, we're generally always looking for help. So consider healthcare. There are many industries out there, but I can tell you, healthcare is rewarding. It's fun. It's challenging, but we help save lives. We help people heal, and we provide the tools for our clinicians to be able to perform at the top of their skill level and provide the safest, best quality care. And again, in an organization that's community hospital, community health system like BB, we're providing this care for our family, our friends, each other, our neighbors. So I would just say next steps, if you have any interest whatsoever, I'd talk to your counselors, express your interest, see what opportunities you have, whether it's adult tech, whether it's UD, whether it's another form of education, etc. And poke around on BB or any other hospital career page and see what opportunities are there. And there's something for everybody, I guarantee. But for right now, that concludes my my presentation, and I want to thank you for hearing me out. I didn't have a lot of jokes. I didn't have quizzes. I didn't have games for you, but I felt the information that I wanted to share, was rewarding for me, and I hope you found it interesting. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. If you want to go ahead and take down your slides, then we can start taking the questions.
All right. All right. Christy, I see a few questions in here. I think I can. Absolutely. So do we work with 911 operators? Yeah, we work with our first responders. Our first responders work directly with 911. We love our first responders. They are an integral part to our community's health, and they are absolutely, I can't commend them enough for the work they do. I knew one colleague I worked with who in cybersecurity and helped him with his business, and provided him some advisement, recommendations. And I was one of his first clients, and he very smart man. He was actually a policeman for multiple years and got into IT security and loved it. And he worked so hard over the next couple of years to build this beautiful business and end up getting bought. He was able to sell his business. And I said, what are you going to do next? Well, he was studying being EMT because that was very rewarding for him. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to get back, be a first responder, and really make a difference there. So love our 911, love our first responders. Is information, IT information provided for a variety of languages? What a phenomenal time to be in any industry, but especially technology. We have different technology components, AI, natural language processing, etc., that we actually we have here for interpreter services. But we're also some of the like my chart, baby. Now we're an Epic EMR, which comes with a phone health app that you can see your own healthcare. That has multiple languages. So it's not just Spanish, English. I mean, it is French Creole for our Haitian community. There's probably almost a dozen and a half languages that translates very cleanly. So yes, um, is it a biomed tech engineer who takes care of surgical robotics, or is that yet another specialist? So, great question. And that really depends on the type of equipment. So, the robot that we have is really only authorized and certified to be maintained, managed, monitored by the vendor themselves because of the liability. If an organization, let's say, acquires this robot and performs their own maintenance on it, there's no telling, did they follow the prescriptive maintenance? Did they follow it the right way? Uh, and if that causes patient harm, which nobody, no hospital, no care provider ever wants to harm a patient. Um, the liability is too strong on that. So, but the opportunity exists to work for these companies and go through their very specialized training and learn how to work on these robots. And you'll be probably deployed around the world, or at least around the country, because of the number of robots and the number of technicians and engineers they have. So absolutely, our biomed engineers work on um, some large pieces of equipment, like our MRIs, our CT units, our ultrasounds, to a point. There's also things that they're not authorized to do that would void warranty, et cetera, that we would need to call those vendors in as well. And some of the parts that they need to install have to be installed by the vendor partner. But yes, great question. What colleges would you recommend? Uh, Great question, and it's so subjective. Um, it really depends. We have great colleges in our state. Whether you want to, take advantage of the seed program and try some things out. I won't bore you, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I started out as a finance major. And the only reason I started as a finance major is because I started out, I want to be business administration, but my school screwed up and made me a computer sciences major. I said, computers, I don't want anything to do with computers. So by the time I found out, it was so late. I was a junior, and I said, well, what can I still graduate on time, but still get a degree? And finance. So I was taking pension plan management, financial management one and two, accounting one and two. And I had a horrible, horrible senior year. But anyway, somehow, and I won't tell you how, but I stumbled into IT and loved it ever since. So college is going to be very subjective, really depends what you want. I would consider a 2 year like Deltech to where you can explore the things you like, what you don't like, and then figure out where you want to go from there. UDEL has great programs, and any one of those programs are, and you're still within our state in state tuition. But if you choose to go elsewhere, just do your read up on the reviews of the college. Talk to your counselors. Express your interest and the direction you want to go in, and not just your counselors, but hey, maybe call the college, maybe tour the college, talk to students who may have gone there. But the world is yours. Only you know what fits for you, but of course, guidance from others. Um, so, great question. Is AI also an issue in healthcare due to the errors it can make? So, the challenges with AI, especially public AI, is the sourcing and the learning models that they're learning from. Your AI is only as accurate and as good in many cases by what it's learning and how it's learning. There are things, hallucinations. false positives, things like this. There can be bias. So you have to be careful with AI, and there should be governance around AI. So when BB started looking at AI, although our first dip in AI was really Copilot, helping us manage our meeting minutes and our schedules and our documents and whatever, we still went through, we formed a governance committee of multiple people in the organization, and we discussed the AI we were doing, looking at risks, reviewing outcomes, things like that. Same thing when it's embedded in your EMR. These are typically developers that are using data contained within their specialty. So the accuracy is deemed better, more accurate, and more vetted and based on scientific information, as opposed to just public information on the internet. So it definitely, no matter what AI you're using, you should always use it carefully. Nothing replaces common sense and critical thinking. And even with computers today, the thing I love to tell everybody when they say, "You sure about that?" I said, "Well, I read it on the internet. It must be true." Of course I'm kidding. But it's be careful what you're reading, and validate before you take that as gospel. Does it matter what kind of biology you major in college to prep for med school in general? That's another great question. Unfortunately, that's out of my expertise and realm. But same thing, I would, if you have a certain specialty that you're interested in, and that's why you're thinking about it. Perhaps it's eyes, perhaps it's ENT, perhaps it's cardiac, oncology, whatever it is, whatever's interesting you, look into the colleges that specialize in that, and maybe talk to an oncologist if that's what you want to do, or an ophthalmologist or a cardiologist. Talk to them. They're willing to talk to people. And matter of fact, maybe they'll come to your school and have for career day or something, and ask them questions. They're happy to talk to you. Trust me, they need colleagues. They need people, the pipeline filled, so they can retire one day and know that their patients will be left in great care. And frankly, their care is going to be in great hands too. So use your networking and introduce yourself. They'd be flattered if you went up to a physician, say, "Listen, I'm really thinking about doing what you do. Would you have a few minutes to talk to me?" How are services provided for hearing impaired and deaf community? So that is awesome. So one, we do have services here, technical services, interpretive services, and we have a large hearing impaired patient and family advisory council, and we include them in our discussions. And I know we haven't done enough for visually impaired, but there are QR codes that are certain colors and shapes with applications on a cell phone for those who have deficient visual, but still have some capacity, that they can see the codes and put their phone up. Their phone will see the code, and it'll give them an audio cue about how far they are, where they need to go next. So we haven't quite done enough in that yet, but that is something that we have looked at initially. So we're always considering visually and hearing impaired.
So one question I have is, another question that came through is, what are some of the biggest challenges that make working in IT in a hospital for IT different from working in a non-healthcare community?
One is there's people are at the end of your work. I mean, this is all about the safe care and best quality care for our patients. So it really does take attention to detail, takes thorough planning and testing and retesting. And it just really that attention to detail. There are some very high risk industries out there, such as healthcare, such as aviation, such as space. nuclear energy. These are all very, very high risk organizations that look to perfect so that error does not occur. Unlike, all right, I work for a retail organization and put up a new website and had wrong prices up there for 2 days. Okay, nobody got hurt. Maybe somebody, either they bought nothing because the prices were too high, so the consumers didn't buy, went somewhere else, or they got a deal and a half. But either way, at the end of the day, that's a repair you do and fix, and you're back in business. But the reward of knowing that we are helping save lives and heal is, I wouldn't find another industry. I got into healthcare 30 years ago by accident. And I got into IT by accident. But you notice I haven't left. I'm in healthcare. I've been in it a long time, and I'm in IT and healthcare. And it's changed over the years, man. It has changed, and it's going to change even more rapidly in the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm counting on you guys to go get your technical skills and come work for BB so Mike Maksymow can retire one day.
One last question. What's the coolest technology project your team's currently working on?
We just implemented an enterprise-wide EMR, electronic medical record. And it was 3 years in the making from the time we said, hey, should we switch out and look at this company versus this? And until November 1, when we went live. And it was over 100 people at any given point in the project, well over 100. And it was nurses, physicians, phlebotomists, infection prevention, diagnostic imaging, dietary. I mean, everybody, patient experience. It took a village to implement this and implement it successfully. And within 2 years, 2 weeks, oh my God, if it was 2 years, I wouldn't be here right now. They'd throw me out. But within 2 weeks, we're able to close our command center and say, wow, that was something else, man. But it was some long days there, some long nights, some weekends toward the end, especially. But the camaraderie, the team, the different people working on different components, and then how to orchestrate it, and all came together. Now, it doesn't sound glitzy like a surgical robot or the drone technology I was talking about. It doesn't have the flash of all that, but it is truly transformational what it has done and what it is doing and what it will do for our patients and our workforce here. Like I said, Christy, maybe you and I talked about, or I can't remember when maybe prior to our conversation, but one of our providers was seeing a patient from another hospital who came in into the ER. And at their fingertips, they were able to have all that patient record from the other hospital in another state to be able to make an accurate, solid care plan for this patient and treat them and release them. And they said, my God, it would have taken me hours or days to get all this information, but I was able to get it in an instant. To me, that's transformational and providing the best patient care.
Do you know anyone who has had medical technology they've made used on themselves, that has been used on themselves?
I don't know. I don't think I do. I do know somebody who hacked into one of their own medical devices in another organization to prove a point, because the medical device industry at one point was really dragging their feet around cybersecurity. And so this person hacked into their own medical device and showed that they could do it, and it kind of raised the alarms. And then, of course, the embarrassment that ensued. And then everyone else looked at risk and said, "Oh my God, we got to do something about this." And it really did transform the medical device industry and how they start looking at cyber. But unfortunately, I don't know anybody that made a device to use on.
Mike, thanks so much.
Maybe they'll be the first one to do it. Right?
There you go.
Let's go. Let's try it.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us tonight, especially during your epic transformation there at BB. We really do appreciate you taking the time with us today. Next week, please join us. We will have Logan Jarrell coming to us from BB, who will be talking about advancing age-friendly care. So everyone have a great evening.
Logan is awesome. You guys, she is phenomenal. So whoever can attend that, please listen to her. She's amazing.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Everybody have a great evening.
Yes.